Vanderbilt will win more games than Tennessee this season. Stay tuned as I break down why. Texas A&M beat writer Karels joins the show to preview Texas A&M season and much more. I will also break down Johnny Manziel's comments on Shedeur Sanders and how he expects Shedeur to play out in the Browns quarterback job. Stay tuned as I break down this and much more on the other side. It's going to be a great show. See you soon. Welcome back to another edition of Bailey Price Media Live.
Bailey Price Media Live.
What's going on, folks? Welcome back to another edition of Bailey Price Media Live. We got a lot to talk about today, and we got a very special guest joining the show, Texas A&M beat writer Karels joins the show to preview Texas A&M season and much more. Folks, if you're watching, go ahead and hit that like button, subscribe, and become a member of the Bailey Price Media Army. I was under the weather yesterday, so I wasn't on 0 to 60 with Matt McChesney or JB show. But we're back today. Got a lot to talk about, and we will be live here for the next 3 days here on Bailey Price Media Live. So stay tuned. Without further ado, let's go ahead and bring in our special guest, Texas A&M beat writer Karels joins the show. Carter, how you doing, man? Happy Tuesday.
Hey, happy Tuesday, man. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely, my man. Let's get into it. Can't thank you enough for joining, man. We are getting closer to the football season here, slowly creeping up on it. Now we're kind of in the slow summer months. Hopefully they go by quick and we can get to the season here. But, Carter, I wanted to go ahead and preview Texas A&M headed into 2025. Mike Elko talked about Texas A&M, saying he expects them to become the premier program in all of college football. You guys got 15 starters coming back, including Manziel. You guys also got a great left tackle in Trey Zune, who works with one of my associates and Matt McChesney over at 60 Academy. And you guys got several transfers I wanted to ask you about. But, Carter, I wanted to ask you, how do you feel about Texas A&M headed into the 2025 season?
Well, there's a lot to like about the team with, as you mentioned, a lot of starters coming back, retained the whole coaching staff. Among those starters, you bring back your whole offensive line and you bring back your top 4 running backs. And before Le'Veon Moss went down last season, this was a top 10 rushing offense in the country. I think they could do that again if everyone's healthy this season. And when you have that, the sky's the limit. And so the schedule's really interesting. It's pretty easy the first half of it, but pretty hard the last half. So I think this season it's going to be more about finishing strong. They started strong last year, collapsed to a 1-4 finish down the stretch. And so can they break through that kind of 8-4 hump that they've been through for so many years, where it's been hard for them to push through? Can they do that? Well, I think them bringing back so many guys, their whole coaching staff, that's a nice starting point for this group.
No doubt. And let's dive into that offense a little bit. You guys got Manziel coming back. How do you expect him to build going into year 2, kind of his first full offseason as the presumptive starter? How do you expect him to go into year 2, and you expect him to thrive going into the season?
Yeah, I think he's certainly under the radar right now. When you look at all those top SEC quarterback lists, he's kind of in the middle of the pack. And, if he were to end up being top 5, I don't think it'd be this huge surprise, because when he did play last year, and he was kind of in a bad circumstance, didn't have the best receivers, didn't have the best tight ends. He wasn't the starter for sure the whole season. He was kind of in and out. And yet, hey, he led them to a comeback win against LSU. He put together a game-winning drive against Arkansas, put together what should have been game-winning drives against USC and Auburn, but defense ended up kind of costing them those games. And so, this is somebody who didn't put up the greatest numbers from a passing perspective. He's not going to throw 300 yards every game this season. So probably not going to be like a superhero or anything like that, but he can do enough to win you a lot of games, and I think he showed you that last season. The big question is, okay, now that he's the guy, can he take that step forward where he can be, top 5 SEC quarterback? It's still a question. It's still something he's got to prove. But with the pieces around him, like I mentioned, with this running game and this offensive line, and, you could argue, hey, they got better at wide receiver. They got better at tight end with what they added to the portal. He's going to be put in a position to succeed. Again, don't know if he'll be the superhero putting up crazy passing numbers, but he's efficient. He does enough. He can do a lot with his legs, and his playmaking ability pretty special from what he showed last year.
Absolutely, no doubt. And I can't wait to see Marcel Reed headed into the season. And you brought up one of those weapons. One of those weapons I wanted to ask you about, Casey Concepcion transferring over from NC State. Big-time transfer, reportedly getting $2.5 million this season. A lot of money, but I think a great player, great get for Texas A&M. Colorado, the team I cover, is also in the mix for him, but I think the higher bidder definitely got him for sure. How do you expect him to fare in Texas A&M's offense? Another weapon for Marcel Reed.
Yeah, I think he's undoubtedly wide receiver 1 for this team. And, 2 back-to-back great seasons at NC State. I think last year was kind of a disappointment just compared to what he was able to do his true freshman year. So I think this is the kind of year for him where if he kind of does what he was on track to do after his freshman year, he could be a draft pick next year. He could be someone who gets 1,000 yards in a season kind of deal. I don't expect him to be a 1,000-yard receiver this year just because I think they have enough weapons where I think Marcel Reed will spread the ball around. But he'll be wide receiver number 1, and he's kind of what they've been missing in this offense for a bit. They had size last year. They had 6'6" Noah Thomas, 6'4" Jade Walker. But they didn't quite have that effective guy out of the slot or guy that could play multiple positions like KC, who could get you a big catch on 3rd and short or 3rd and medium and kind of work in that short and intermediate game and get open and get yards after the catch. And that's what KC Concepcion's going to do. One guy I should also mention is Mario Craver from Mississippi State because he brings speed that this team just hasn't had. He is maybe the fastest player on the team, at least one of the fastest guys. He's got legit 4.4 kind of speed. And what he was able to show at Mississippi State last year as a true freshman proved that, hey, he belongs in the SEC. He can perform at this level despite being a little bit undersized. And so those are 2 guys that they're adding this offense that you could argue would have been their best 2 receivers last year. And so, hey, adding that speed, adding that quickness for an offense that didn't quite have that last year, I think could unlock some elements in it that they didn't have before.
Okay, all right. And the Texas A&M now, they're bringing in some weapons now. You brought up their schedule. Let's talk about their schedule headed into the season here. How are you feeling about it? You brought it up earlier. Really look at that Notre Dame game. It's going to be the real big one here in the opener. But how are you feeling about A&M's schedule going into this year?
Yeah, I just think it's really nice the first 6 games and really tough the second half. You look at those first 6 games, 5 of them are at home, and then the last 6 you get 3 straight on the road and 4 out of 6 on the road. And 2 of those games are against Texas and LSU, who may be the top 2 teams in the SEC. Right. So it's not a very forgiving second half, but hey, if you enter that second half at 6-0 or 5-1, maybe you have some margin for error there where, hey, you can lose a game at LSU and it's not going to cost you a playoff spot. I still kind of have the team in a ballpark of like 8-4. Just given the schedule, I think Notre Dame is going to be really tough. I think LSU and Texas are also tough. And then you've got some coin flip games. I don't think South Carolina is going to be easy with Lawrence Sellers back at quarterback. A&M really struggled against him last year. Florida could be a team that takes a jump with DJ Lagway. And so A&M didn't beat Auburn last year. Could these be games that are kind of coin flips for A&M in addition to Notre Dame, LSU, and Texas? So you got like 6 or 7 games that are not a given for A&M, and that's why I'm kind of leaning 8-4. But there is a path if you win that Notre Dame game to where you could be in a really good position going into that second half of the season.
Yeah, definitely. And like you mentioned, going into that second half, they can pull off 6-0, 5-1. It seems momentum will be on their side. Like you mentioned, a few coin flip games. South Carolina, I think, is going to be pretty damn good this season. They're a team I'm really high on. Florida, like you mentioned with Lagway, it's going to be interesting. Arkansas is going to be interesting to watch. And obviously, LSU, Texas is going to be formidable as well. So tough second part of the season for A&M. Carter, I can't thank you enough for joining. I wanted to ask you, going back to what we were talking about earlier a little bit, but Mike Elko, his impact on the Texas A&M football program. Kind of discuss it. You're going into a second year here at A&M. His impact on A&M's football program in your eyes. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I think the biggest positive that he brought coming in right away was kind of the culture change that you saw. This was a program that, to sum it up in its last couple of years under Jimbo Fisher, it was chaotic. It was unorganized. It was embarrassing to a degree. I mean, not just on the field, but off the field with all of the off the field issues that the program had, and Jimbo going after Nick Saban, and just always in the news for the wrong reasons. Mike Elko's kind of made it a boring program where, hey, there's not much chaos. There's not much to talk about from a negative standpoint. This spring transfer portal window, they didn't lose any key players. It's not a team that's going to be losing a bunch of key players after every season like they were at the last couple of years of Jimbo Fisher. I think the negative, or maybe the biggest question moving forward is, okay, like the 7-1 start last season was special, but with that 1-4 finish, it left a real sour taste in a lot of people's mouths. And you can't fire a coach and agree to pay $77 million if you're going to keep going 8-5 every year. And so that was kind of a mulligan year. I guess it was kind of a rebuild year, even though the schedule laid out real nicely. But going forward, A&M's got to push through that 8-5, 8-4, 7-5 threshold if they want to, like you said at the top of the show, they want to be that premier program in college football. You can't have much more 8-5s. And the good news is, hey, they're doing stuff in the portal. This 2026 recruiting class that they're bringing in, I think, could be top 5. I think it could be really special. And, with the momentum they have, if they have a big season in 2025 this fall, they'll be trending definitely in the right direction.
Now, sticking on your point there, kind of at the end, what is the turning point here for Texas A&M? What do they got to do to go from 8-4 to 10-win team? What are your, in your opinion, biggest turning point?
Yeah, well, I think that the O-line and the running game is going to be good. What you don't know is the passing game, the defense, right? You're replacing almost your whole defensive line from last year. So Marcel Reed's got to take that next step. Does he need to be a world beater? Probably not, but taking another step and being a guy who can win against Notre Dame on the road, can beat LSU or beat Texas, bring this team to kind of that 9-3, 10-2 level. I think he's got to take that next step. And then the defense, I just think, hey, they really struggled at the end of last season. They have a lot to clean up. They made some key additions in the portal. I think Cassius Howe is a name to know. I think he could have a big season at defensive end. They get Tyreek Chappelle back from injury. They brought back second team All-SEC corner Will Lee. So a lot of pieces to like. Linebacker's a really strong position for them. But they got to put it together, and they can't have a second half like they did last year where they just really faded and really struggled in a lot of key areas. So I would say Reed taking that next step, and maybe the defense finally looking like a Mike Elko coach defense, like you're accustomed to seeing him put together.
No doubt. And well said, Carter. And I don't know, it's going to be interesting. They have a tough second half of this season ahead. And, oh, boy, I don't want it to end like last season. But, man, I can't wait, Carter. I can't thank you enough for joining. I can't wait. We're going to get closer to the season. We'd love to have you back on again as we get closer to the season. Hope you have a great Tuesday. Thank you so much for joining, my man.
Absolutely, man. Appreciate you having me.
Absolutely. Have a great day. Shout out to Texas A&M beat writer Carter Karels for joining the show, giving us a preview of Texas A&M football headed into the 2025 season. I think he gave a pretty insightful breakdown there. Let me know in the chat, what are your thoughts on Texas A&M headed into 2025? I think they have a lot of cards in their favor now. They do have a tough schedule, like we broke down, especially in the second half. And I think there are certain teams that they'll compete with. But I think Carter said it pretty well. 8-4 seems to be pretty accurate if you look at their schedule. I don't know. I think teams to watch that he didn't really bring up, or we kind of talked about. South Carolina, I think it's going to be tough for them. Florida is going to be tough for them. LSU, I don't know. I got to see it to believe it with them. Same with Notre Dame. People are really high on Notre Dame. I got to see it to believe it with them as well. Shout out to Joe Accord, my main man, for the $20 donation. My main man, Joe Accord, I appreciate you. Rough day yesterday, Joe, but we're back today, and we're going to be live for the next 3 days here on Bailey Price Media Live. Folks, if you're watching, go ahead, hit that like button, subscribe, become a member. I appreciate you all tuning in here. We got a lot more to discuss here, including Diego Pavia. Lots to discuss with him. He's making a lot of comments that I'm sure Tennessee Volunteers fans are just going to love. We also got to talk about Johnny Manziel talking about Shedeur Sanders in Cleveland. And, man, the Colorado fans have just outdone themselves. Just wait till I show you this. Folks, we're going to go ahead and take a brief break. We'll be back in 1 minute after we pay the bills. If you're watching, hit that like button, subscribe, become a member of the BPM Army today. I appreciate you watching. Peace. JJ McCarthy. So the Vikings traded Sam Darnold to the Seahawks, obviously, and this leaves JJ McCarthy next up to start. Sean, I believe you coached JJ McCarthy at IMG, I believe, correct?
I did. And
so what are your thoughts on his potential as the Vikings starting quarterback?
Well, here's a part of the conversation that the average Joe won't acknowledge. Mm-hmm. It looked like JJ was beating Sam Darnold out before he got hurt in the preseason last year. All the momentum was that JJ's having a great camp. He had just had the really, really good preseason game. And the word on the street was he was going to be the opening day starter and Sam Darnold was going to be his backup.
Right.
Now, JJ gets hurt with a season-ending injury, so we'll never know in totality if that was true or not. But obviously what they've seen from JJ made them believe that we can't invest in Darnold even in a short-term window because of what we think about J.J. McCarthy. Mm-hmm. So you have to go by what the Vikings have done. If they didn't think J.J. McCarthy was ready, either health-wise, talent-wise, or preparedness-wise, then they would have given Sam Darnold the contract that Seattle gave him.
Right. Yeah, that's a great point, Sean. And going into JJ as a player, what do you like about his game as a quarterback? What do you don't like? And how do you think he fits into the Vikings offense now that Sam Darnold's gone? And obviously they brought in two pieces in free agency, big offensive line signings, and going along with Christian Darrisaw and others on that offensive line. How do you feel about JJ fitting into that offense as well?
I think he's Brock Purdy with a better arm. And here's what I mean by that. If Brock Purdy, knowing what we know now, was drafted in the first round, everybody would be like, San Francisco made a great pick.
Right.
He's proven to be their starting quarterback. They're about to pay him franchise quarterback money. He's not a top 5 guy, but hell, there's not a whole lot of top 5 guys walking the planet.
Folks, and we're back here on this beautiful Tuesday. If you're watching, hit that like button, subscribe, become a member of the BPM Army today. Folks, I can't thank you enough for tuning in. Shout out to Joe Cord. I like JJ McCarthy too. I don't know. JB and I were debating last week about that, and he thinks he's going to be horrible and shit. I don't know. Go listen to that video I did about a month ago with Sean. I'm with Sean. Sean's pretty optimistic. Obviously coached the kid in high school. I'm pretty optimistic. And Dirk, I think the Vikings are better than people give them credit for. I think they're pretty solid all-around team. I just think they kind of choked off last season a little bit, but I think they're in a good spot with JJ McCarthy, and I think the two the additions they made to their offensive line, like Joe just mentioned, are really going to help JJ going into this season. Lucy, I appreciate you tuning in. Yeah, glad I'm feeling better. I appreciate you. Yesterday was horrible, but we here. Glad we're better, and long week, a new day here. Let's move. Let's move forward here. We got a lot more to talk about here, and let's get into it here because this is an interesting topic here that I got to discuss with you guys. Diego Pavia was reportedly offered more than $4.5 million by another SEC school to transfer. Now, I think I know pretty obviously who this SEC school is. I'll break that down in a second, but take a listen to this.
After the year was the portal blowing up for you on potential teams wanting you to come be the quarterback for them at a different school?
A lot. It was less nuts. It was less reaching out to me. It was like more reaching out to like my brothers and my family and stuff.
Was there a dollar amount that you heard that was like, holy shit?
Yeah, I don't know if I'm supposed to share, but like anywhere from like 4 to 4.5
to leave and go somewhere else.
To leave.
What conference?
SEC.
Checks out.
Ooh, in conference. Any Big Ten teams trying to get you?
You want to play with the best. You don't want to play with the Big Ten.
That was a funny tidbit at the end. Shout out to Bustin' with the Boys. That is a huge tidbit there. Diego Pavia being offered more than $4.5 million to transfer for his final year. After getting the petition with the NCAA, getting that approval. Now, I think this is a pretty obvious answer as to who the school is. Let me know whether you agree or disagree here, but there's a certain coach actually at a certain school that Diego Pavia has a certain history with, going back to his days at New Mexico State, and that would be Hugh Freeze and Auburn. Diego Pavia has beaten Hugh Freeze on 3 separate occasions. Going back to when Hugh Freeze was at Liberty back in 2022, they beat Diego Pavia, or they lost to Diego Pavia at New Mexico State. Then in 2023, Diego Pavia at New Mexico State went into Auburn and beat Hugh Freeze. And then last season, Diego Pavia and Vandy beat Auburn. Now, I think it's safe to, at least pretty hypothetical here, but I think it's safe to assume that this was a school that threw that money at Diego Pavia in some way. You'd have to think about it. Auburn was desperate looking for a quarterback. They went and brought in Jackson Arnold coming over from Oklahoma. But another SEC school needs a quarterback. This is what it screamed to me. Let me know whether you agree or disagree in the comment section below. But nonetheless, I think Diego Pavia, at least for a college football quarterback, I'm not looking to translate him into the NFL quite yet. I can discuss that going into the draft next year. But looking at him in college, I'm pretty optimistic on him in Vanderbilt going into this season. And so is he. He actually talked about saying Vandy will run Tennessee after this season. He had a lot of stuff to say about Tennessee. And, man, I'm going to go ahead and show this here. He talked about running Tennessee here in the future and how Vanderbilt is on their way to becoming a premier program in the SEC. Take a listen to this.
Vanderbilt's going to run Tennessee after this year. Like, this is going to be the new staple of, like, college football. It's going to happen here at Vanderbilt.
Do any of you and the boys ever, like, talk about that? Like, we got to be the state school.
Well,
we're in Nashville, Tennessee. We're in the Music City. Like, we need to be the brand of Tennessee.
Everyone wants to come to Tennessee because of Nashville. So they want to come to Nashville, so Vanderbilt. And then when we have, like, the most money in NIL, like, why not come here? So, like, we literally just have to win this year and throughout the rest of the year. It'll take care of itself.
You think Vandy will have the most money in the game?
I think we'll be up there.
Yeah.
But, like, it's Nashville.
Yeah, there's a lot of big hitters around here.
Yeah.
They just need a team to believe in.
Yeah, that's all they need.
They need Diego Pavia.
Man, interesting stuff there from Diego Pavia. Now, The title of the show says it. I think Vanderbilt is going to have more wins than Tennessee this season. I really do. And I am in the state of Tennessee, so I can give you a firsthand insight here. There's a lot of money and a lot of people interested in Nashville, obviously. But if you're in the state of Tennessee, you know how popular the Vols are. Now, here's what I'm going to say. We can look at Tennessee's schedule right now. I think it's going to be pretty tough for them. I already said this. Losing a quarterback this late in the offseason going into this season is going to be tough. Now, they brought in App State transfer, but I don't know. I don't think he's as good of a player as Nico was. I don't think it's even close. Now, looking at their season, I could talk about the games that I don't think they'll win. I don't think they'll beat Georgia, Bama, Vandy, Florida, and I'm hesitant, but I want to see what Oklahoma looks like with Jackson Arnold, but I think they're going to be formidable as well. Question marks, in my opinion, are Kentucky and Arkansas. And Joe Cord is right about Sam Pittman for sure. Must-win season for them. And they got a former Boise kid, Taylor Green over there. Hell of a quarterback, by the way. But they're a big question mark as well. I don't know. I think it's tough for Tennessee this season. Now, looking at Vanderbilt, I think their season, besides South Carolina, who I think South Carolina is going to be in contention to win the SEC, but we're not talking about them today. That's going to be a tough game, but, Bama, the rematch, Diego Pavia talked about that. I think he's pretty confident. I think that's going to be a hell of a game. Looking at the back half of their schedule, a little bit more tough, but I don't know, folks. I think it's possible Vanderbilt winning more games than Tennessee. I think Vanderbilt's building something special. I think they got a great coach over there, and the Jerry Kill effect is in effect there as well. Just got a great coaching staff over there. I don't know. Let me know whether you agree or disagree. Vanderbilt winning more games than Tennessee. Going back to Diego Pavia being offered $4 to $4.5 million to transfer in the portal. Reportedly, Lenora Sellers turned down an $8 million NIL offer to transfer. Now, I think Lenora Sellers is on his way to becoming one of the best quarterbacks, best players in college football. And I think South Carolina is loaded and ready for a huge season and one where I think they take over the SEC. Interesting. Reportedly in quotes, you're 19, you don't need $8 million. You're in a great spot. Lenora Sellers' father told him. Interesting. I think it's a great choice from Lenora. So I think he's in a great situation in South Carolina, and he's just going to keep building on all the success he had last season. And don't forget, South Carolina was roughing the passer against LSU away from being in the playoffs. So there's something to remember about South Carolina as well. But I think South Carolina is going to be legit headed into the season. Let's go ahead and move forward. We got a lot more to talk about here. The Prime fans here, Colorado fans, stay tuned for this one because you guys have, you guys have outdone yourself. I can't believe I'm about to show what I'm about to show here in a couple minutes on this show. But folks, if you're watching, go ahead and hit that like button, subscribe, become a member of the BPM Army today. Let's get into it here, folks. Johnny Manziel talked about Shedeur Sanders and how he thinks Shedeur will play out in the Browns quarterback job. He says he's in a great situation. Hold on. Honestly, he can come out and win the job. I think he'll do well. I really do. And he's rooting for Shedeur Sanders in the Browns quarterback job. Take a listen to this.
Opportunity now in Cleveland with a quarterback situation that, honestly, he can come out of and win the job. I think he'll do well. I really do. I think the kid works really hard. I think he loves the game of ball. And when it comes down to it, if you have a guy like that loves the game, obviously grown up around it his whole life, I think he'll be successful.
I agree, bro.
I agree, too. I just think it's going to take some time for Shedeur Sanders to win this job. He's got to outduel Dylan Gabriel, who they drafted ahead of Shedeur. He's also got to outduel Kenny Pickett and Joe Flacco. But I think ultimately one of those players is going to be traded. Ultimately, it'll probably be Kenny Pickett. I think Kenny Pickett will ultimately be gone to the Saints if I had to predict where he'll go, just because of the connection with Kellen Moore. Now, looking at Shedeur and the Browns, he's got to work his way up. I think he's doing all the right things right now, working his way up in Browns minicamp. All the reports about Dylan Gabriel and Shedeur, and I don't know how much weight I put into it, and considering it's Browns, they're in shirt and shorts. When they get the pads on, that's when it's really going to matter. Now, Colorado and, now Browns fans may not want to hear that, but I think in due time, Shedeur is going to win the job eventually. He's going to work his way up. He's going to outduel Gabriel, and this is no knock on Gabriel. I am pretty confident in Shedeur, though, and just in seeing him, covering him, and he'll work his way up. One thing I wanted to show here, and Colorado fans really are just not happy with Cleveland reporter Tony Grossi here. But before I show what Colorado fans have done about that, ESPN Cleveland are asking Tony Grossi when is he going to give Shedeur Sanders credit? And Tony Grossi had this to say. Take a listen.
Is this feeling from some people that he has blown everybody out of the water? But are you resisting that? Or are you acknowledging
he's getting better every day? He's very coachable, very likable.
He doesn't look like a 5th-round pick out there. Is that fair?
Can we wait till the pass rush and shoulder pads get on? I mean, it is touch football, Aaron. I mean, right now. And what's the one negative about Shedeur was what? Drifting into sacks, not being able to get away without the physical, the running ability to get,
At what point are you going to start to give him more credit? Preseason
I'm giving him
games
credit.
is what
He's doing better, but I think this is overhyping again.
I think he's got a point. Like, I hate to admit it, but he's got a really good point there. Because, Shedeur's, flaws, so to speak, were drifting in the pocket, falling into sacks. Now, we can't really get a determination of that and see how he's worked out of it until you really are, get the pads on, really get a real pass rush, because it's certain sells. Offensive line has got a complete disadvantage when it comes to that. You ain't got nothing to grab onto. I could tell you that firsthand for playing O-line. Now, Shedeur is doing all the right things. I think he's definitely, Cleveland is definitely embracing Shedeur. One thing I wanted to show is Brown's youth camp going on, and they're definitely appreciating, big fans of Shedeur Sanders. Obviously, Shedeur very popular, and no surprise there. And it's something you like to see. Shedeur doing all the right things to work his way up. But going back to Tony Grossi now. Colorado fans, I can't believe you guys did this. You guys have outdone yourselves once again. You guys really do not like the main man, Tony Grossi, who I actually think was speaking some truth about Shedeur Sanders here. But a diss track? Really? A diss track. This came out on Twitter yesterday, and Cleveland media, I'm sure, loves this. Just here you go.
You speaking on niggas in that field and you ain't in that field. Gotta stay away from Tony. He don't keep it real. Stay in your lane, Tony. This ain't your fight. You critiquing great.
Colorado fans, dog, it's June. Like, it's not even unbelievable. I saw this. I was cracking up like, oh my Lord. Is this really what we're doing? Are we serious with this shit? It's not, we're already getting beef with the Cleveland reporter because we don't like what he says and doesn't like. Okay, I can't even fathom it. That shit cracked me the hell up. I didn't have a problem with what he said at all. I think he's playing. I mean, he's playing it how he sees it. He's also understands that it's just shirt and shells. This isn't. I mean, this is the most stock I've seen put into OTAs for any player in a very long time. And I think he's reacting accordingly. Now, I think as Shedeur starts to make more plays in training camp, I think he'll give more credit, obviously, and I think everyone else will as well. But, Shedeur's got to work his way up. He's got to beat out Flacco. He's got to beat out Gabriel. Gabriel is going to be ultimately who he's got to beat out the most, and I think that'll just take time. But my predictions still has been the same. Week 14. If the Browns have a bad season, Shedeur will play by week 14. If the Browns have a good season, there's no shot of Shedeur playing because if somebody gets a hot hand with Cleveland and it's not Shedeur, they're going to run with it no matter what because they're desperate to win in Cleveland. And that's fact. Now, we'll see how that stands for Shedeur Sanders, but Colorado fans with the diss track, you guys have outdone yourselves. Unbelievable. Let me know in the chat what you think of that, but this has been a great show here on this fine Tuesday. We're going to be live here tomorrow. We got another reporter here joining the show, talk all things college football, and we might talk some Colorado Buffaloes football tomorrow. Stay tuned for that as well, folks. But we'll also be live on Thursday. Got a lot of special guests here joining on Bailey Price Media Live. May have Coach Fred on here joining us soon as well. And you saw Sean King in the commercial. Prayers up to Sean King. He'll be back soon. Spoke to him last week. Doing well. He'll be back soon. And prayers up to him. But, man, folks, I can't wait. We're getting closer to the season. You know, weeks keep going by, and I can't wait for the college football season. We're almost there. Less than 70 days to the college football season and less than 80 days until the NFL football season. But if you're watching, go ahead and hit that like button, subscribe, become a member. To all those tuning in, I can't thank you enough for tuning in. Lucy, Joe Akora, Jada Ben's in the chat. What up, Jada? And so many more. I appreciate you guys tuning in. Shout out to Dirk tuning in as well. I'll see you guys tomorrow. Same time here, 3 p.m. Eastern on Bailey Price Media Live. Enjoy your Tuesday, and thank you for watching. I appreciate you guys watching, and enjoy the Tuesday. Peace.